Those terror targets the president has personally ordered the deaths of. But is this a presidential kill list even lawful? Ben has the reality check you won't see anywhere else.
For over a year now, Reality Check has covered the issue of the Obama administration using drone strikes to kill people, including U.S. citizens accused of being terrorist suspects. According to several new reports, we know much more about this program. So let's begin with who is overseeing it. White House Counterterror Chief John Brennan has now seized the lead in choosing which terrorists will be targeted for drone attacks or raids. Brennan is now overseeing the use of lethal U.S. force outside of war zones within one small team at the White House. We'll get into Brennan's power to have people killed who are not in war zones in a minute. But under this new arrangement, which has been going on for about a month, Brennan now has greater input earlier in the process before making final recommendations to President Barack Obama. Here's what Brennan has said about these powers.
As a matter of international law, the United States is in an armed conflict with al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and associated forces in response to the 9/11 attacks. And we may also use force consistent with our inherent right of national self-defense.
Now, the problem with what Brennan just said there, how do you make the jump that all these kills equal national self-defense? The armed conflict with al-Qaeda and the Taliban and those associated forces carries no declaration of war. And the assassination program Brennan is overseeing is killing targets who are outside the theater of war. President Obama's kill list is described as a kind of yearbook full of photos with names and whereabouts of known and suspected terrorists, including Anwar al-Awlaki, an American citizen killed in Yemen last year by drone strike ordered by the president, and al-Awlaki's 16-year-old son, Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, also a U.S. citizen, was killed by a drone strike 2 weeks later. According to the New York Times, President Obama personally approves every new name on that expanding kill list.
It's unlawful because it allows the president to kill people, including U.S. citizens, far from any theater of war. It is dangerous because it sets a precedent.
And the other major issue here no one seems very concerned about is the issue of what the articles in the Times and Newsweek refer to as collateral damage. If dangerous suspects are living with their wives and families, well, sometimes the wives and families die too. If any military-age males happen to be in the targeted zone, too bad for them. In fact, they're typically deemed to be terrorists as well because they're living in proximity to other terrorists, even though they're not in, again, a theater of war. So here's what you need to know. According to the administration, if these suspects are in their teens but still deemed to be an imminent threat, they die. Now, in the case of 16-year-old U.S. citizen Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki, how was he an imminent threat to this country? To this day, no one has bothered to explain. What we know, a U.S. citizen is accused of not committing a terrorist act, but encouraging terrorism. According to this president, that means not only does he, as a father, need to die, but his 16-year-old son, who's living outside of a U.S. war zone, must die as well. 2 weeks later at a family barbecue, does any of that make sense? Well, is that the new reality of presidential power? The authority to decide without review, without a judicial system, without a trial, without accountability from anyone, and without protection from the Constitution. A president can simply declare your life over. And that is Reality Check.
If you'd like to make your